Good afternoon. Today we have a very special guest. We have Jolie Moskel. She's a mental health therapist in the Columbia, South Carolina area. And Jolie, we are curious about depression. How do you see this among your clients?
Well, one of the things that I see very often is sometimes it'll be men, but usually a woman will come in her 30s or 40s, and all of a sudden she's just overwhelmed with life. She can't function very well at work. Sometimes she's making a lot of mistakes. Sometimes it's that she doesn't get along very well with other coworkers, and she just feels overwhelmed and doesn't know where the depressions come from or how to handle it, but she just knows that she's having trouble getting out of bed and doesn't function very well.
So, Jolie, for the listeners, tell us what's the difference between, real clinical depression and just having the blues, because we all go through ups and downs.
Again, I think it goes back to that inability to function. Yes, we all have it in ups and downs, but when it gets to the place where you really are not functioning very well, then it crosses over into a clinical kind of situation. And one of the things I do is when I start to take a history with people, sometimes I'll find that there are lots of losses, lots of painful events that they really haven't had a chance to work through or even really acknowledge, and these pile up one on another until the point where the person just is really having a trouble keeping going.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. One other thing I imagine you probably would like to share with folks, I remember hearing Chevy Chase, the great actor, talk about how he had depression. A lot of people go through this. I believe there was a politician, I want to say a congressman, I might be getting mixed up, who publicly acknowledged that he took medication for his depression, that he'd been battling it for years. Would you like to, they're not alone, it's not just you?
Yes, and you brought up a good point too. Sometimes medication can help. A lot of times medication can help, but usually people do well with medication and counseling. They've done studies and found that the best help is with both the medication and the counseling.
Great. Well, thanks for taking your time this afternoon here, Jolie. And is there any last tips you'd like to pass along to the folks?
There is help for depression. Sometimes just setting boundaries. Sometimes people feel like they have to be responsible for the whole world and they take on too much, and learning how to care for themselves. Sometimes people have to grieve through some of the losses in life. But there are ways that people can do better and that depression can be helped.
And Jolie, why don't you tell the listeners how they can contact you and come in and see you?
My office is at 160 Medical Circle, which is across from Lexington Medical Center, and my phone number is 803-750-7900.
And again, that's Jolie Moskel. Her website is joliemoskel.com, and you can visit her if you're in the Columbia, South Carolina area. Thanks for watching.